To stop recording. Okay. What are we doing? The radian. Okay, so the radian is when you take, all it is an angle measure. So make sure you write this down. Angle measure. No. I would compare it to, it's a different unit. So for example, some people use feet and some people use meters. Okay? The distance from the school to your house, you could measure it in several different ways, meters, inches, but the distance does not change. So just like that, the radian is an angle measure. You're measuring angles. We normally use degrees, but we can also use radians, and we will be using radians half the time in pre-calculus. We'll be using it more than half the time, probably. So anyways, 1 radian is defined as if you take the radius, the distance on the radius, if you were to walk along the radius like this, you get a certain distance. Then what you do is you walk along the circumference of the circle that same exact distance, and you're going to end up around here, not exactly at 60 degrees, but around there, and the angle you create, which is not exactly 60, it's close but not exact, this angle is 1 radian. Okay, that's by definition what a radian is. You most likely or just won't use 1 radian that much. Because what we do is we divide up the circle evenly or into perfect parts, and it is much more useful that way. So let's talk about degrees. How many degrees are in a full circle? So 360 in a full circle. Half circle would have 180. So again, a full circle, the angle measure for a full circle, you can measure it in radians. And that number is 2 pi. Okay, it is exactly 2 pi radians around. So 2 pi is approximately equal to, let's see, 2 times pi is this, so it's about 6.283 radians. So that means if this were 1 radian, from here to here, 1 radian, then you would do this about 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you would have a little bit left over. Okay, so this is the leftover. So does that make sense? 1 radian, 1 radian, 1 radian, 1 radian, 1 radian, 1 radian, and then here you would have 0.283 radians. But instead of being inaccurate with the decimal place, you'll be using radians in multiples of pi, or fractions of pi. So what would half a circle be? Exactly half of 2 pi, which is pi. So let me go back to this. Okay, I got pi over here, 2 pi over here. Technically I started at 0. Half rotation gives me pi. So let's talk about what this would be. How many degrees would this be? 90 degrees, but as far as radians, what would that be? 1/2 pi. But the better way, or the way that I'm going to tell you to remember this, is pi over 2. Does that make sense? If pi is half a circle, cut that in half is half pi. Any questions? So the next easy one would be right here. How many radians would that be? pi over, take this and cut it in half. Pi over 4. Okay. Any questions? I just cut this in half. Each one of these is pi over 4. So if this angle is pi over 4, and so is this angle, that would make this 2 pi over 4, which reduces to pi over 2. Okay, so it will reduce, but if you want to count that way is perfectly fine. But then I need to keep going. That's another pi over 4, so how many pi over 4s did I have? 3 pi over 4s. So that's what this angle would be, 3 pi over 4. And then adding the last piece in this semicircle, I have another pi over 4, which would give me 4 pi over 4, which reduces to just pi. Okay, so there's a lot of counting involved here. Any questions? Okay, so now in another color, I need to deal with this, 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 and this. What could those be? Let's worry about this one first. 1/6. How'd you get 1/6? That is exactly correct. So if I take this, I have 1, 2, 3 pieces exactly in here. So if there are 3 pieces in this, there would be another 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces here. So you take pi and divide it into 6, and each one of these is pi over 6. So I take that, that's pi over 6 here, add another pi over 6, and you get 2 pi over 6, which reduces to 1/3 or pi over 3. Adding a third pi over 3, or pi over 6, you're going to get 3 pi over 6, which reduces to 1/2 again. It better reduce to 1/2, otherwise we're not counting right, or not dividing right. So, let's continue counting. 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, which will reduce to 2 pi over 3. So let's continue counting. 1, 2, 3, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, and that's going to finish up quadrants 1 and 2. Because each one of these is an additional pi over 6. Okay? Then all you have to do to continue on the bottom half, keep counting. Keep counting. Any questions? So now you are going to continue generating the unit circle, but now you have with radians. So I've shown you everything you need to know with unit circle. Just to give you an idea of what the quiz is going to look like tomorrow, because we're going to start the unit circle quizzes tomorrow. Here's what the quiz looks like. Ready? It's not a blank circle, it's going to be a blank piece of paper that you provide. So walking into the classroom, you're going to bring in a piece of paper. I would get it ready at the end of 6th period, just like walk into class, sit at your desk, get ready to do the quiz, put your name on it. You are not allowed to draw the circle yet. If you have a circle on your paper, I'm going to take it. You have to start from scratch, start from nothing. And then you'll have 5 minutes to draw all of the to get all of the angles in degrees, all of the angles in radians, and all of the points, all of them. Okay, so the unit circle quiz. The unit circle quiz is 3 points. You're going to get a point if you get all the degrees correct. You're going to get a point if all the radians are correct. You're going to get a point if all the points are correct. If you miss one negative in a point, you miss that point. Thursday, I will allow you to use your triangles. Okay? But I'm also not going to count that as your grade. Friday, you are working from scratch. No triangles. It's a triangle. No Hershey Kisses. Okay, so no triangles by Friday, and it's still 5 minutes. Okay? And then in a couple weeks, we'll bring it down to 3 minutes. So anyways, right now, this is what you're working on. Pretend like you're practicing for this quiz. Ready, set, go.
It makes it easier.
I don't know, in case I need to say something important.